What characteristics distinguish you from everybody else? Yes, in case you didn't know, it's another Thursday for those just tuning in. It's another Thankful Thursday. Health, strength, and your ability to create wealth. What are you thankful for? Yes, what are you thankful for? Yes, we wake up every morning and the first thing we do is we are presented with a gift, the gift of life. We open our eyes. So I ask you, continue on that vein. What's some of the things that you are thankful for? And this Thursday, I am thankful for traits. Yes, traits. Distinguishing qualities or characteristics, especially belonging to a person, sometimes even materials or sometimes events. There's some things that distinguish one event from the next. You know, a football game is distinguished, have different characteristics from a basketball game. It's the same thing with you have different types of materials that you use. Wood, metal, steel, epoxy, aluminum. What traits do these materials have that define them and differentiate them from others? And so the question I ask you is, what are your defining traits? What are some of the unique characteristics or the characteristics that you hold in high regard that distinguish you from many people out there? When we look at traits and characteristics, there's a lot of people who put labels on themselves, and you hear them say, well, oh, I always late, that's just me. Or I'm just a laid back person, nothing ruffles my feathers. And they start to put these labels on themselves, and they actually buy into those labels. And you start to see when you call a meeting, they're always late. When you start to see when it's time to make a decision, they dilly-dally, and there's lacks any focus or any discipline or anything is of no priority because they label themselves as laid back. And they start to buy in and they become defined by those traits. So when you look at that person and you say, okay, well, we're having an event, you can say, well, you know who's going to be late. Or when it's time for the decision, you're like, okay, well, we know where this person is going to go. Because those are their defining traits. What are yours? As we start the beginning of the year, we're in the second month, and you need to take some, I want to say, intentional focus on yourself and start to see where you're going this year and how you're going to progress and be effective. And as you start with the strategy after reflecting and analyzing where you are in life, you can start to see that there are some traits that you hold critical to yourself. Some may be you're a person of discipline, meaning that there's things that you define and you put inside a realm, whereas there's something to be done, you make sure that it's done in the proper way. You make sure it's done in a timely fashion, you make sure it's done efficiently, and you make sure that it's completed. Even when it comes to being disciplined, you make sure when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. If there's something that allows you not to meet that deadline or something that allows you not to do what you said you're going to do, you make sure that the person is alerted, or there's some, I want to say, extenuating event that hampers you from doing it. When we look at some of the traits that we hold in high regard and some people love, is people of integrity, people who are transparent, people who quote unquote are timely, people who they're efficient, they're productive. What traits define you? Some people say, well, you need somebody who has standards. Well, how do you find your standards? What are those things that differentiate you from others? And as you start to realize, as you start to progress and make things happen in your life, you're going to start to see that people identify you, quote unquote, by those traits. When there's a decision to be made in the room or they need feedback on something, they're going to look in your direction because they know, quote unquote, this person can speak to this or this person can speak to that, because you exhibit that through your life. Traits. Do not allow somebody to put labels on you and you to buy into them. One of the things why I'm thankful for traits is, guess what? You can change them. Yes, you can change different traits. You understand? If you realize that you have a problem with time, well, focus on that. Become intentional on that. If you realize that you have an issue when it comes to budgeting your money, focus on that. Become intentional on that. When it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your health habits, when it comes to your diet, all of these things can become traits that you can change and be a defining factor in your characteristic. Yes, it's another Thankful Thursday. Health, strength, and your ability to create wealth. Go out there and work on your traits.